Hello and welcome to Crime Watch Daily Updates. I'm your host, Anna Garcia. Imagine dialing 911 and in addition to police showing up, a television crew arrives ready to record the scene of the crime. That's what happened to Victoria Rickman one fateful day in Atlanta. In the early hours of September 13th of 2013, Victoria called Atlanta police to report she shot her ex, William Carter, after he sexually assaulted her. Police got to the scene and found William dead with gunshot wounds all over his body and a handgun on a nightstand. He had been shot in the chest, back, head, and arm. Police took Victoria to the hospital where she underwent a rape exam. Though the test confirmed she had had sex, doctors reportedly did not find any internal trauma or injuries matching her allegations. Meanwhile, the investigation was still being recorded by a television crew. William and Victoria's relationship was tumultuous and fraught with allegations of physical and sexual abuse. They got engaged at one point, but then broke up before making it to the altar. One time, Victoria reportedly tried getting into William's house, and she was arrested for battery. He had previously been taken into custody on charges of sexual battery. Victoria was arrested on suspicion of murder the same day William was found dead and naked on the bed. And in December of 2013, she was officially charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. She went to trial on August of 2017 and was convicted on all charges. A judge sentenced Victoria to life in prison without parole, plus 5 years for the malice murder and firearms charges. She appealed her conviction, but in April of 2020, the Supreme Court of Georgia affirmed the lower court's ruling. Let's take a look back at the case of a woman who fatally shot her ex while the investigation all played out on television.
It's Judgment Day for Victoria Rickman.
Sir, have you reached a verdict?
A jury about to declare whether Victoria is a cold-blooded femme fatale who allegedly lured her lover into a death trap.
I shot him. You shot him?
They may have had sex. She may have promised him sex.
Or is she a terrified victim who shot him 9 times in self-defense after he allegedly attacked and raped her in a frenzied rage?
You don't want to hurt him, but he was in his house.
He is angry at her.
Now, the moment of truth.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Victoria Rickman.
Crime Watch Daily has been covering this sensational murder case from day one. This being the latest and probably last chapter in the saga of a beautiful divorcee who was literally drop-dead sexy. And prosecutors would allege Victoria knew she could use her allure to wrap male admirers around her little finger.
You're saying that the defendant never sent you pictures of her boobs?
But Victoria would tell Crime Watch Daily in a telephone interview from jail while awaiting trial that her sex appeal has sometimes been a double-edged sword.
I've never really been in trouble. The only thing that I am definitely would say have problems with is being a battered woman and not making very good decisions of men.
Her first marriage ended in a contentious divorce rife with accusations of abuse on both sides. But something good did come of it, a son who friends and family say meant the world to Victoria.
She's a good person. She's a good mother.
Her son is her everything. Would even get outside, play football, getting dirty with him, everything.
She got a heart of gold. She would help anybody she could help.
A few years after her divorce, Victoria began a tumultuous romance with William Carter, a successful businessman and divorced father of one.
Well, I know it was on and off. I know it was on and off.
Victoria alleges that was because Carter could be abusive.
I think I made excuses for him every time he did something wrong. He always said he was sorry, or he begged me for forgiveness, said he'd go to therapy.
I just believe that she was just caught up in this toxic relationship. She couldn't get out of it, unfortunately.
Over the course of a rocky 3-year relationship, Victoria and Carter racked up a laundry list of police reports against each other, ranging from domestic disputes to assault, even sexual battery.
This person mentally, physically, and sexually abused me for years.
I've witnessed some bruisings, for sure. for sure, after some altercations.
She finally started showing me bruises and stuff on her. And I told her, I said, you need to document this, because if something happens to you, no one's gonna know.
I look back on it now and I'm like, how could I have been so stupid? You know, how could I have been so forgiving? Like, what's wrong with me to make me go back to that?
Crime Watch Daily requested interviews with the police and the Carter family to get the other side of the story, but each declined to comment. Police reports, though, indicate allegations of violence on both sides.
Just breaks your heart for the fact, you know what, maybe she's had to go through a lot of things that you wish she didn't.
And finally, one fateful day with an unlucky number, William and Victoria reached a breaking point.
That day of September the 13th, she had had enough.
At 2:30 a.m., Victoria makes a distraught call to 911.
He tried to rape me again, and I tried to ask him to stop, and I shot him.
You shot him?
Yes, I shot him. I just kept shooting.
You shot him where?
I shot him all over. I didn't want to hurt him, but he wouldn't stop.
Police arrive at Victoria's Atlanta home to find a bloodbath. William Carter naked and dead on the bed, his body riddled with bullets, blood splattered everywhere, bullet holes in the ceiling, walls, and window. Shell casings complete the picture, 9 shots fired from a .40 caliber handgun found on a bedside table. Victoria told Crime Watch Daily it was a case of self-defense, that Carter had raped her.
I don't think I've ever been 100% in fear of my life until that night. And, you know, I knew I was going to die.
Best friend Brittany Morgan believes her.
That day, it was either her or him. I believe that with all my heart, because there's no way in the world that she would do that unless it was her life or his life.
But Victoria's father, Paul, can't believe she could even get into such a mess.
Having known that she had been physically abused by him, I was shocked completely to even find out that he was there or that anything had happened.
After completing a rape kit at a local hospital, Victoria faces interrogation from detectives.
So you're saying you're willing to speak with me without an attorney present today?
I'll speak with you about some of the things, yes. I don't have a problem with that. I don't feel I did anything wrong.
Victoria tells detectives it's not the first time Carter's raped and abused her.
He has been very abusive, and he has beaten and hurt me quite a few times, and gotten off every time.
Now, she doesn't want to say anything more before contacting an attorney.
So I cannot ask you any questions. I really can't speak to you at this point in time.
But Victoria is checked for bruises or injuries.
You can go ahead and just lift your shirt up to your stomach.
Anything on your back?
Go ahead and take a picture of her stomach.
Okay. Just hold. There you go.
Then an ugly argument erupts over cell phone.
That's your phone. Have your phone.
Okay. Ma'am. Her name is.
Why are you fighting with me?
Because you're grabbing stuff out of my hand that's inappropriate.
Because it's evidence.
Within hours of her detention, Victoria receives the bad news.
You're being charged with murder.
I'm being charged with murder.
Victoria Rickman hardly looks like the sexy femme fatale prosecutors portray her to be when she goes on trial for the murder of her lover, William Carter. After spending nearly 4 years behind bars awaiting her day in court, Victoria, now 34, is almost unrecognizable as the woman who allegedly used her sex appeal to seduce and manipulate Carter and other men in her life. Among those men, Jeremy Fordham, who at first denies in court that the married divorcee had once sent him pictures of her breasts.
You're saying that the defendant never sent you pictures of her boobs?
No, I don't think so.
But prosecutors Sheila Ross shows them to him.
Picture of her chest?
Yeah.
Nothing further.
Even County Police Lieutenant Robbie Ray admits on the stand that he'd been beguiled by Victoria and that they had a flirtatious text exchange after he'd helped her with a legal matter.
And then you said,
And you won't need to service me for a little help.
and what was that in reference to?
She stated that William Carter expected her to service him.
And the prosecution alleges that Victoria had used her feminine wiles to lure Carter to her Atlanta home the night she shot him dead.
She may have promised him sex. We'll never know. There are some things about a homicide you'll never know because, as they say, dead men tell no tales.
But Sheila Ross says the evidence does, and that 9 gunshots is a classic case of overkill.
And when he falls down, she finishes him off from behind. And the final shot is to his head.
Shot to the back.
Defense attorney Amanda Clark Palmer argues that Victoria killed Carter in self-defense after he unexpectedly turned up at her home and raped her in the early hours of the morning.
Will Carter is on top of Victoria Rickman, raping her. And she gets the gun out and hits him.
Before firing 9 bullets into him. And Palmer plays Victoria's emotional 911 call for the jury.
He did it again and again and again, and I can't stand it. I don't want him to be hurt. I didn't want to hurt him. I asked him to please not do it again.
She says Victoria's distress sounds convincingly genuine.
I begged him not to hurt me. I just want him to be okay. He's not. There's just blood everywhere.
Imagine how powerless she felt when William Carter, who was taller than her, heavier than her, and stronger than her, was raping her.
But the prosecution alleges Victoria had also accused numerous men of rape and threatened to make the same allegations against others, including William Plunkett, when he tried to throw her out of his apartment.
She told me that if I called the police officers, she would tell them that I tried to beat her and tried to rape her.
And the prosecution alleges Victoria had also falsely claimed Carter raped her on a previous occasion just 4 months before she killed him.
Get the out of here. Seriously? Go.
But in this wedge,
the prosecution drops this bombshell. Actual video of the incident shot by Victoria herself with her cell phone.
Go, Tori.
Do it.
Go.
Do it.
I don't want to do anything but get you out of here, dude.
It shows her trying to get back inside Carter's home just moments after she says he raped her.
Why are you naked? Who were you on the phone with?
Dude.
we know one thing for sure. He wasn't naked because he raped her, because why would she have to ask that question?
The prosecution shows the rest of the 60-second video, saying it doesn't look like an encounter between a woman and a man who just raped her.
You just showed up at my house, and I told you not to be here.
I did not. You told me to come here.
Tori, I didn't tell you to be here. Get the out of here, dude. I'm scared of you. You terrify me. You're already doing this. Get out of here.
Why are you acting like this?
Victoria refuses to leave.
Right now, open the door. You is upstairs.
No, it's not.
All my stuff
There's
is upstairs.
nothing upstairs. All you are is a toxic web of lies. Stop it.
Stop.
Get off of me.
Stop.
I'm not letting you in my house.
If you do this,
I'm
I
gonna call the police.
Do it.
The prosecution claims the truth of what really happened is in the tape.
They were in a fight. She got mad. And when he managed to kick her out of the house and he called the police, she cried rape. And it's chilling. And it's disgusting. It's damaging to women. But that's what she did.
The prosecution uses the video to further discredit Victoria's claim that Carter also raped her the night she shot him.
That's one of the things that you heard from the beginning from Will's mouth himself. You are a toxic web of lies.
All you are is a toxic web of lies.
And I could not have said it better myself. And I submit to you that Will Carter Jr. himself is still in the web. He never got out. He was in the web when she murdered him. He's still in the web because she sent him to his grave as a rapist. She said he was a rapist.
The prosecution also produces photographs taken after the alleged rape, saying they show no sign of bruises or other injuries indicating Victoria had been beaten and raped, as she claims.
That's what the doctor said. That's what the treating physician said that night.
But the defense puts Victoria's friend Brittany Morgan on the stand to support allegations that Carter had physically abused her in the past.
It looked like someone had grabbed her arm. The bruising was, it was kind of, almost looked like fingerprints on the side.
Brittany testifies she'd seen bruises on Victoria's arm on 2 occasions. The second time was just before Carter's killing, when she also overheard an angry phone call Victoria got from him.
He was very angry and just yelling and screaming. I could hear bits and pieces of the conversation because he was screaming so loudly.
What was Miss Rickman's demeanor after that?
It completely changed. Her whole attitude, her face, facial expressions changed, just like she's seen a ghost.
And on the night of his death, the defense argues that Carter had gone to Victoria's home in a jealous rage after earlier catching her talking to another man on the phone.
He is angry at her. That's how he was feeling that night. He was lashing out at her.
Amanda Clark Palmer quotes furious texts Carter had sent Victoria just hours before his death.
You're sad, scary, and a horrible person who I try and continue to try to love and respect, but it's impossible. You're vicious and horrible to me, and all you want to do is blame me.
And the defense presents crime scene evidence supporting Victoria's claim that Carter came to her home and violently raped her.
There are signs of a struggle in this bedroom. The lamp is knocked over. The noise machine is knocked off the nightstand, and it was on.
All right.
A jury is about to declare whether Victoria Rickman really did kill William Carter in self-defense as she claims, or if it was calculated, cold-blooded murder as the prosecution alleges.
Sir, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Was it unanimous?
Yes, Your Honor.
The jury had been asked to decide if Carter had been raping Victoria at the time she unloaded her gun on him, leaving him lying dead in her bedroom from 9 bullet wounds. Or if the seductive divorcee had lured him to her home and falsely cried rape to try and get away with murder.
He tried to rape me again, and I tried to ask him to stop it, and I shot him.
One of the prosecution's most powerful pieces of evidence had been this phone video.
Dude, I'm scared of you. You terrify me. You're already doing this. Get out of here.
Why
Girl,
are you acting like this?
I don't want you in my life anymore.
Documenting an earlier incident in which Victoria had wrongly accused Carter of raping her.
All you are is a toxic web of lies. Stop it.
Stop.
Get off of me.
Stop.
I'm not letting you in my house.
If you do this,
I'm
I
gonna call the police.
Do it.
But the defense had countered that these are undeniably the words of a terrified rape victim.
I shot him all over. I didn't want to hurt him, but he wouldn't stop.
And defense attorney Amanda Clark Palmer tells the jury the prosecution hasn't proven its case.
Victoria Rickman is presumed innocent, and that can only be overcome if the state meets their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which they have not done in this case.
The prosecution claims otherwise.
She finished him off with a shot to the head. That is cold-blooded murder. No more, no less. And if that's all you heard, you would have enough to convict her.
Now, as the moment of truth arrives, Victoria looks terrified. She sits beside her attorney, her family also there behind her, all of them anxiously waiting for the words to be read that will either set her free or condemn her to a life behind bars.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Victoria Rickman, guilty.
Victoria sits silently, not moving, but obviously devastated and sobbing after being convicted of malice and felony murder, as well as 2 associated charges in the killing of William Carter. Then being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
I strongly believe that, with all due respect to the jury, that they got it wrong.
Victoria's attorney Amanda Clark Palmer says she was shocked by the verdict.
I would like to know what evidence they looked at, what they found compelling, what they didn't. I really don't know why the jury decided the verdict the way they did.
She also wishes the judge had been more lenient.
I thought she deserved at least the chance to have the possibility of parole, so I was saddened by the sentence.
And in this exclusive phone interview from prison, an angry Victoria slams the jury's decision and the justice system.
It's a complete slap in the face to me as a domestic violence survivor and a disgrace to all battered women, sexual assault, and domestic violence victims that now the system can actually use my case as a tool to re-violate the real victims and their rights.
Victoria insists she's no murdering seductress.
There are no words to describe how it feels to be labeled as something you're not. All this slander and lies about me is beyond devastating. This entire botch case was solely based on fabricated assumptions created for fame and publicity by defaming my character, maliciously spinning anything, everything, into something it wasn't.
Victoria also takes aim at the jury that convicted her and the judge who sentenced her to life without parole.
I've always told the truth of the abuse I've endured. My story's never changed. I think they didn't take anything into consideration or put themselves in my shoes either.
And Victoria says she's fighting for a new trial.
I'm innocent of all my charges against me. I've always told the truth of the sexual, emotional, and physical abuse that I suffered at the hands of William Carter.